Okay, so yesterday was Juneteenth, so I'm coming today with little natural teas. Did a wash and go, so this is day 2. But okay, let's go ahead and get into it. So, as always, I'm going to start with moisturizing my base. If I can get my primer in my hand. Okay, here we go. So, again, I'm using the e.l.f. Power Grip Primer with niacinamide. Use about 3 pumps of that. Okay, then I go into my spray. So I use this one, the Hangover 3-in-1 Replenishing Primer and Setting Spray. Oh Lord. I should have shook it up more. Okay, let's rub it in. Okay, and then I got the Mario Badescu Cucumber, Aloe, and Green Tea Spray. Barely have any of this left. I'm gonna order some more. Okay. Just give that a second to dry down. So the first thing I like to start with is my eyebrows. So last time I know I filled them in black, but today I'm going to actually do it dark brown. So I'm going to use a pencil. I'm trying to open this one. So this is actually the Wet n Wild eyeliner pencil. And let me see what color this is in. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's dark brown. Oh no, it's called Simma Brown. Or Simma Brown. It's S-I-M-M-A Brown. So however you pronounce that. Okay, I got it open. So what I like to do is take a small mirror. So for today, I'm just going to use this blush, has a mirror in there. And then fill in my brows. So I lay them flat first. I go upwards and to the end of the tail to push the hairs in the right direction. And then I just always start to fill them in from the back. Okay, and it's gonna look something like that. I'm going for more of a thick, kind of natural brow look today, so you'll notice I'm doing a little different today. Okay, let me fix it up a little bit. Alright, so yeah, it should look something about like that. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and go in with my concealer to clean them up. actually just need to put all these brushes in the cup because I'm so tired of having to find them. Okay, I found the brush I'm looking for. Okay, so you want to use like a flat brush like this. So what I always like to do is just make sure I clean it off first before I start using it. Today I'm going to actually wash my brushes, so bear with me. Okay, so I like to take this color from NARS. It's the same one I used last time. It's called Amande. It's the NARS Soft Matte Concealer and Amande. And then I just coat my brush with the color. And then I'll go ahead and start cleaning up my brows with the little mirror. Let me get a different mirror. So it's gonna look something like that once you clean it up. Okay, and then we want to clean up the top. So when I clean up the top, I typically will just look in the mirror that's on my vanity. Okay, and it looks like that. Alright, and I think I'm actually going to go in with another primer before we get started on our complexion. So I have the Hangover RX Replenishing Face Primer. Might have picked up the wrong one. I have two. Let me try this one. They might both be empty. I'm not sure. I mean, got some on my shirt. Oh no. Okay, so let me just use what I have. So I'll take that. I like to really put it under my eyes when I do the primer. Because for some reason, I guess because I have really dry skin, if I just go in with concealer without primer, like every time I put the concealer on, it'll be like burning right here. So I have to really make sure I put some primer on. Okay, so let's try to go ahead and conceal. So I'm using the, oh, I'm actually picking up my wrong shade. Looking for tan deep sand. Okay, here we go. Tan deep sand. And then you also want to put some on top of that eye. Okay, so what I usually do for the concealer on top of the eye is I will actually go in and blend it right away. But for what's on the bottom of the eye, I'll let it set. Okay, and it's gonna look something like this. Remember, we still haven't blended out the bottom yet. Okay, and before I forget, I'm gonna go ahead and put the concealer on the nose. Okay, while I'm waiting for that to dry down, I'm gonna go in with just a little bit of foundation. So I'm gonna use Chai by Too Faced, the Too Faced Born This Way foundation. I'm gonna use just one small pump, okay? So I'm gonna take that same brush we used for our concealer earlier and use that to put the foundation. Okay, and now we can actually go ahead and start blending out our under eye concealer. And I just like to go over just the edges first. Okay, and then we're gonna do our nose. Let me actually move this couple brushes so I can stop having to reach all the way up there. Let's see. Put it right here. And we're going to take this small brush and stipple in our concealer color. And don't forget your nose. Alright, so now that we've blended out our concealer, well, you want to make sure the eyes and the under eye join. But then you want to go ahead and start blending out your foundation. Okay, so it's gonna look something like this. So, if you watched the last video, you know I'm not done yet. I do prefer like a very bright under eye. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go with medium golden, let's see, what is it called again? Medium tan golden and light medium sand, and I'm gonna go under the eye. So with the medium, I go about right here. So pretty much for me, I basically trace where, if I have under eye bags, where they would be at, and that's where I would place this concealer at. And then for this part, I go in the inner corner and just trace that little bone that's right there where I can see the little folds under my eye. That's where I place this. Because like if you look right here, there's a fold, and I'll just follow that. I do like a bright under eye, but I don't want like all of this to be super bright, just like right under the eye. Okay, so while we let that dry down, what I want to do is something that's a little different from last time. I want to go in with some cream bronzer. So I have this curved case from Made by Mitchell. And let me see what colors I have. So I have a Shy Boy, Sweet Cheeks, Peach Sugar, Melon Sorbet, Toned Up, Caramelized Chisel, Teddy Bear, and Rich and Rosy. So I think I'm either going to use Teddy Bear or Caramel Chisel. I'm trying to decide. I think I'll go with Caramel Chisel, actually. Maybe I'll add Teddy Bear later, but we're just gonna... Oh, that's not dark enough. Okay, so yeah, let's go in with the other one, the darker one. This one is right next to it. That is hilarious. So I got this pretty much in the winter, so now that it's summer, it's definitely not dark enough. For at least not for like a good contour, but we'll see. Because we just want to add some dimension back into our face. That's the whole point of adding this. So let me try the darkest shade and see. Okay, see, even like the darkest shade is like barely showing up. But let's do that one. And then we have to be mindful too. Our forehead is the darkest part of our face, so that's another factor. And then I always like to connect this part to this part. Okay. And I'm going to add some by the nose, just to help our nose contour out later. Okay. And then I'm going to take a brush and go ahead and blend this out some. I wish I had the brush I usually use, but I don't see it. I'm going to go ahead and go in with this brush right here. Okay, then we're going to go back in with that little brush we used earlier to try to join the darker color with our concealer shade, so there's not such an obvious line of demarcation. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and start blending out the nose contour. I think I should use my finger. Okay, now we're just blending out our under eye. So first I like to blend out the deeper shade. And I do like to blend it all the way up to the temple, like so. And then I'll just blend it out so it's not so harsh. Okay, now we're gonna go into the very inner corner And I pretty much blend that in towards the nose. So I like to pinch the brush. And just press that in. Okay, so at this point, this is the perfect time to set under our eyes. So whenever I set under my eyes, I always like to use a translucent powder. And I use this one for Anastasia Beverly Hills. If you see, like, it's a very stark white color. So I like under my eyes to be very bright, so I use that one. And then I use this brush right here to set the powder. So I'll dump some in my hand. And then I really press it into the brush. And you always want to stretch your under eye. And then set it with the powder. Because we don't want to set fine lines or wrinkles under our eye. And then we're going to set on top of the eye as well. And it's going to look something like this. Mind you, we're still not done completely blending out our nose contour. So I'm aware that it doesn't look natural right now. Which I don't really go for something like completely natural. But we do want it to be more blended than what it is right now. So I'm going to take this small smudging brush, and then we're gonna blend out this nose contour some more. Okay, so now we want to go in with some powders so we can blend on top of our other contour that we've already placed down. So for this step, I like to use my Morphe palette. Looks like that. Okay, and then we're gonna go on top with the bronzer colors mixed together. And this is just gonna help us build up that contour even more on the nose. And I always like to contour my eyelids too. So I would just put that product right about here and really deepen that up. Okay, that's about how I like it. But the key of what I like to do once I get it like this, that brush that I used earlier to go over things, we're gonna press on top of this in the middle. You see what I did? Okay, so it just widens that a little bit. And then we're gonna take another brush. So this one that I use under the eyes with the powder, I'm gonna take some of the powder off. And then we're gonna go over that. And don't worry, we're not gonna leave it wide like this. We just wanted to take some of that contour like down a notch, okay? Just to get more of a natural look. Okay, let me get a different mirror so I can look at what I'm doing. Okay, so something like that. Alright, so now I'm gonna go ahead and go in with blush and contour. So let's see which blush I'm gonna use. So I'm gonna use this blush. It's the One Size blush. Not sure what shade it's in. Let me see if it says anything on here. It's the Cheek Clapper 3D Blush Trio. And the shade is Girly Pop. So first I'm going to go in with the cream product. Now you want it right there. Okay, now we got to do the other side. Okay, and then we're going to go over it with the powder. Now the powder is really pigmented, so we're obviously not going to leave it like this. What you're going to do, you're going to take your brush, put it down for a second, and you want to get another brush. So I like this brush personally. I use it to blend things. Just trying to make sure it doesn't have too much powder on it. Alright, then we're going to go over it, and then you want to stipple it in. Okay, so it's going to look something like that. And this is what I call my all over face brush. I usually use it to like set powder with on my face. But if anything is like looking too harsh, I'll just take it and press it in to break up that line. Okay, but now I'm going to go ahead and go in with some contour. So taking that same blush that we use, same brush that we use for blush. You're going to take your contour shade. So in this case, it's this one. And then I'm just going to add that. And I really only contour in certain spots, like at my temples. Okay, and then I go here. Okay, and then I take my other brush that I used to balance it out some, and then I go ahead and press that in. So it's gonna look like this. We want to get the forehead a little more. Okay, that's perfect for my liking anyway. Okay, so now what we're gonna do, I want to go in with like a liner type of look. So what I actually do is I take a brush like this one, and I will spray it with a little bit of the same thing I use to hydrate my face, and just to wet it. And then I'll go into a black eyeshadow. So I'm going to use this eyeshadow palette from Bolez Beauty. It's called the Nude Persuasion palette. And I like to use the shade Black Girl Magic. And I go down here and I put the powder in my eye. You want to be mindful. So it should look something like that. I only did half the eye so far. See? Okay, now I'm going to do the other side. Okay. And then I'm going to put that in our brush cup. Alright, and then we're going to go ahead and go in with mascara. So I actually like to use two different mascaras. So I use this one, my Smashbox, the Superfan mascara. And you just want to really coat your lashes with the mascara. Okay, now we're going to go to our bottom lashes. Okay, remember, that's just the first coat of mascara. We're going to put more. So I go in with this Milani Lash Extensions Tubing Mascara. And this is like the star of the show. That first one, I like it because it's like a really black one. But this one, it adds length. Okay, so like you can already see the difference between this eye and that eye. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go in with some lashes now. Okay, so I'm going to use these by Ardell, the Naked Lashes. I really like these lashes because they have the invisible band. Okay, and then once again, not using eyelash glue. I always use lace glue, so we're using the Erica J glue. Alright, so while we wait for those to dry down, we're gonna go in with some more powder. So I'm gonna take this Anastasia powder and my One Size powder, and we're gonna mix those so we can put it on the whole face. If I can open it. Okay, there we go. Okay, so I just pour it into my hand. And then I put the other one. So I have some of this. They're both translucent technically, but this one's more like a tan color. And this one's like a stark white. So it's just all about your preference. But I want my face to be pretty bright. So I'm going to mix these. And we're going to go underneath our contour. And set that. Okay, and then we're going to put it on the rest of our face. And I like to put it over my lips because then when I put on my lip liner, it sticks better. Don't forget your forehead. Especially if you're an oily person, you really don't want to forget your forehead. Okay, and we go under the eye again. Then you want to get the bridge of the nose. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and fill in our lips. So let me see. Okay, so I have my lip liner right here. Oh, I picked up the wrong thing. Let's see. Here's my lip liner. So I'm going to use the MAC Chestnut liner again. It's just been my favorite lately, so yeah. But let's go in with that. And I do like to exaggerate my Cupid's bow. Okay, as you can see, and then we go down to the bottom. It should look something like that. Okay, my eyelashes are getting tacky, so I'm about to go ahead and put them on. Okay, so first we're gonna put on the right one. Is this the right one? Yeah, it is. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and do the other side. Okay, so these are the lashes. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and brush off that powder. Okay, I'm gonna add some lipstick and gloss. So this is the shade Yash from MAC. Okay, and then we're gonna add some gloss. I have powder everywhere. Okay, so this is pretty much the final look. I'm gonna put some finishing touches on. Okay, so we're gonna add some mascara to the lashes. Okay, and I'm actually gonna add some lip plumper today because I just love my lips to be juicy. So I'm using the Sephora lip plumper. Let's see what shade this is in. It's in, oh, it doesn't say actually, but it's the Outrageous Effect Volume. The Outrageous Plump Effect Plumper from Sephora. It's the Sephora brand. Okay, and then we're gonna set our base with the Urban Decay spray. So first we want to shake it up. Okay, and this is our final look. Thanks for watching.